Hi, so this was just what I was thinking about last night. What horror comic impacted me as a child? And it's come from a really unusual source. It's not strictly a horror comic, um, but it was 2000 AD. Surprise, surprise. And this was in 19. I can't remember now. Let's have a look. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, 1979. So this was Prog's 113 to 115. Give you a bit of backstory actually. Um, as I've said hundreds of times, I've loved 2000 AD since Prog 1, since 1977, but I never read. I could not get into Judge Dredd when I was young, when I was little. Um, there was just something about it. I love the rest of 2000 AD, but I just kind of like glanced at the pictures of Judge Dredd. I love the artwork, but it just never resonated with me. I was too young to grasp that it was satire. Um, but saying that, I finally got around to reading Judge Dredd in 1979 with Prog 113 to 115 because it was more of a horror theme, and I was a sucker for horror. I used to give myself nightmares watching old cheesy Hammer House of Horror, Hammer films and stuff like that. Quatermass, you name it. So it was a three-part story. It came on after the huge epic The Cursed Earth, which, if you've never read, I recommend you check it out. It's a fantastic Judge Dredd mega epic. It's just superb. But the story that really resonates with me as a child is illustrated by Brett Ewins. But when you look at the artwork, it looks more like Brendan McCarthy. They were very, very similar in style. And it was the DNA Man. So this was like a modern interpretation of the Frankenstein mythology. So this great mad professor creates a new human being from scratch. But obviously, like the old Frankenstein monsters trope, it goes wrong. That picture, that I used to read this story over and over, and I had a huge, very, very vivid imagination as a young child. It gave me so many nightmares, but I could not stop going back to this story. And the artwork, it just showed what a genius and how way ahead of his time Brett Ewins was. Very, very punky in style, very underground in style, and like those faces there, it really terrified me with my as a nine. I think I was about 9 at the time, but I was fascinated at the same time. It ticked all the boxes what I wanted in a horror comic, which was weird coming from a comic that was a science fiction comic. But this is what's unique about 2000 AD. It's science fiction, but it can incorporate some of these genres within the story frame of the trope or the genre of science fiction. And like you've got the classic monster running away with the damsel there. And of course, the monster wreaks justice against his creator. So it had all the tropes and the beats of the old Frankenstein story, and they condensed it into this 15-page story, 3-part story, because strips and 2000 were about 5 pages a strip each week. And yeah, so I used to think about it all the time because I lost my old 2000 ADs ages ago, and that story still stuck with me in my memory, in the recesses of my memory. And then when these came out, the complete Judge case files, I do recommend you pick these up, or the essentials. This has the Cursed Earth epic in, which is fantastic, and it's worth getting as well for the strip I just mentioned, DNA Man. When I realised that it was in here, it just, all the synapses in my brain just kind of went, it just brought back a flood of memories, like an adrenaline shot of what I felt as a young child reading this story. So for me, it perfectly summed up spooky season. It perfectly summed up what Halloween story should be. I love EC, I love that a lot, but from a life experience, this was my horror comic. Those 3 issues of 2000 AD growing up, they stuck with me. They put the notion that comics could be scary. I mean, reading it now, it's not, but when you're an overactive fan person who... I could never go to waxwork museums because there used to be that weird part where they showed like experiments on people, and I used to imagine it being much worse than it actually was. So something like this really fucks me up, but in the best way possible, and it like triggered my love for finding more horror comics, so like House of Mystery, Swamp Thing, and stuff like that. So do pick this up. It's a really fun story, and it's worth picking up for the Cursed Earth epic inside as well. I don't know the availability of the earlier issue books of a complete Case House, but you can get the Cursed Earth as a collection as well by itself, and I do recommend jumping in with that. Okay, bye.